Hi guys, welcome to today's video. Thank you so much for joining me. I'm not going to be screaming too much because I am a little self-conscious about my neighbors listening to what I have to say, but I do want to film in Mother Nature, and it's a beautiful day. It's kind of like in the midst of being cloudy and sunny, so the color is also going to change. Plus, I know there's a lot of sirens and helicopters and people cutting grass, and you might be hearing a lot of that. But I just felt like I needed to film with Mother Nature since we are going to be discussing Mother Nature today. So pretty much in today's video, I'm going to give you guys my final analysis on Fahrenheit 451 by Ray Bradbury, which was our January pick, our kickoff book for the Sweet Reads Book Club. I'm going to talk about this later on in today's video just because I don't want to give my thoughts and opinions too early on in the video because I have other things that I want to talk about. So we'll save this for last. So this is another classic novel that was inspired by a conversation that I was having with my mom just earlier this week about Mother Nature and about trees. And so with that conversation, my mom was telling me that Ultima is a curandera. She's one of the main characters in this book. She uses natural herbs and remedies and Mother Nature to heal. And I really believe in that. I really do believe that Mother Nature can be therapeutic and very healing. So I was like, ooh, this sounds like a perfect book right up my alley. Not too long ago, actually, my husband contracted this guy to trim the leaves from our trees. Somewhere along that conversation that they were having, there was miscommunication. My husband left to his mom's house. I stayed home to work on something, and all I heard were like the machines, like the vroom, vroom. So I figured that the guy was just trimming the branches. I look outside my window later on in that afternoon, and I noticed that the tree in my front yard, which I am obsessed with, is completely gone. The guy cut down the entire tree, and I went ballistic. I really did. Not on the guy, because the guy had already left. I just looked outside my window, and it's gone, it's missing, and it's just like this emptiness in my front yard. And before, it was a beautiful tree that provided shade, and it just looked wonderful. And I'm like, oh my God. I called my husband. I was so upset. I was crying so much. And really, it affected me so much, guys. I had no idea that I was gonna react that way towards a tree getting cut down. But sometimes, we don't think about ourselves and we just think about, oh, it's just a tree, it's not a big deal. But it is a big deal. You know what I mean? It really is, and it hurts me. All right, so Bless Me Ultima is about the social psychological development of a 6-year-old little boy named Antonio who lives in New Mexico. He's Mexican American or Chicano, so it's a really interesting story because I also wanted to pick up authors from my heritage. And this was a really great book because my mom also recommended it to me because she read this while she was studying English many years ago. And I remember her reading the book, but then again, back in the day, I was not even into reading, so I was like, whatever, not really into it. But come to find out, it's a beautiful story. And it basically follows the life of Antonio and his family, and Ultima basically plays a major role in his development with his spirituality, and she provides more of an indigenous viewpoint and gives him guidance and shows him that there's greater powers in this earth and other gods outside of the honored Catholic religion. Antonio is Catholic, his whole family is Catholic, and his mom actually wants him to become a priest. But that's not really what he wants to do. He wants to do other things, and he starts to grow and develop, and he starts to question his destiny, life and death, good and evil, and it's just a beautiful, beautiful story that I'm really excited to read. I was actually watching some interviews of Rodolfo Anaya, and he was discussing the making of this novel, and he said that Ultima actually appeared to him in the middle of the night while he was writing this book, and she introduced herself as Ultima, and she said, you need to include me in this story, and if you do, the story is going to be a huge success. And so that's how the character Ultima was developed. So it's really interesting, especially for me being someone who always has so many questions about religion and life and death and what other powers are, harnessing this universe and the human race, and like, why are we here? I always have those questions. So I wanted to take on a classic novel approach, a literary approach to maybe going deeper into that subject and seeing if I do learn anything. I'm sure I will. There's always, you're always going to benefit from reading books. So I'm really excited about this one, guys. Super, super excited. And I hope you guys are too. I know that we are already like almost 2 weeks into the month. And February is a very short month. So hopefully that doesn't turn anybody off. It's not a rush. We're not trying to like hurry up and read the book, but we do want to make more time for reading and accomplishing the goal of finishing the book before the end of the month. But of course we have more time, no pressure at all. So the reason I love Mother Nature and the reason this book was brought up by my mom was because everything that has life, from animals, humans, plants, nature, ocean, molecules, everything is alive. And they taught me that we're all connected. And if we hurt something or someone, we're ultimately hurting ourselves. And I think a lot of the times the human race is very selfish. We only think about ourselves. We don't think about the future and how we're hurting this beautiful planet. And we're not going to be here long. You know what I mean? We're going to be here at most, if we're blessed enough to live a long life, 115 years. If that, but our children are going to be here and their children are going to be here, and we should take care of our planet, and we should take care of our trees and Mother Nature and the animals, and we shouldn't destroy them for our pleasure. This is like something that I am just opening my mind to, and honestly it's so easy to be selfish and not really want to look at things that happen like that, but the right thing is hard to do sometimes, Anyways, so we're going to be reading that book. Please keep in touch throughout the month, and I will definitely be quoting stuff and just be more interactive with this book for February. Let's move on to my analysis of Fahrenheit 451, which was honestly quite difficult for me to sit down and finish reading, even though I made time to sit down even when I didn't want to read. But that's the whole point of having a book club, is that I am being held accountable, and I'm actually holding myself accountable for finishing this, because this is something that I set out to do and I don't want to quit midways or anything like that. So I wanted to try something different. And this is a science fiction novel, which is my first science fiction book. And it's not really my cup of tea, in a sense that I don't really like reading things that are kind of dark, because it just provides more anxiety and a little bit more fear, especially with how real life, like the real world, is a little bit scary, or very scary if you just really think about it. So sometimes when I read books, I just want to escape to a different world that is a little bit more positive. But with that being said, I actually learned a lot from Fahrenheit. And I really enjoy Ray Bradbury's beautiful and poetic style of writing. I feel like it's a book that challenged me, in a sense that it challenged me to look deeper into the personas of each character, to the meanings and the symbols within the book, and to just touch way deeper than just the surface level of just reading a book. Typically when I read a book, I'm just kind of like grazing through the top and just flowing by. But this one, you really do have to look deeper and understand the characters and their complex personalities, like Captain Beatty, which he's actually one of my favorites, only because he is complex and he does, have many. He contradicts himself all the time. He's like good and evil, and he's a really interesting character. So I really enjoyed Captain Beatty. I feel like you can go on and on and on about this book, and I just wanted to read one of my favorite quotes. And if you guys have a favorite quote from this book, I would really love if you guys commented down below. But I want to share with you one of my favorites, because there's many that I really enjoy. Surely you remember the boy in your own school class who was exceptionally bright, did most of the reciting and answering, while the others sat like so many leading idols, hating him. And wasn't it this bright boy that you selected for beatings and tortures after hours? Of course it was. We must all be alike. Not everyone born free and equal, as the Constitution says, but everyone made equal, each man the image of every other. For there are no mountains to make them cower, to judge themselves against. A book is a loaded gun in the house next door. Burn it. Take the shot from the weapon. Breach man's mind. Well, okay, so this is Captain Beatty speaking to Montag and giving giving him the history of firemen and why their job changed from, preventing fires to actually burning down houses that contained books. This just made me think and reflect about the times that I've seen people protesting and standing up for what they believe in, and often are ridiculed, they're bullied, they're killed, and they're looked at as crazy. Like, what are you doing protesting? I remember this one time I went to Washington, D.C. So I took a little trip to the White House, just to the outside of the White House, and there's a lot of people who protest right outside against religion, or, for religion, for what they believe in. They have like loudspeakers, and they're just like walking up and down the White House, just kind of like, screaming their message. And there's also people, I remember this woman had all these posters of chickens who are being killed to be made into chicken nuggets or fried chicken or whatever. And she had really vivid pictures of how like the mother hen had her baby chicks underneath her arm protecting them, and just showing how chickens feel and that we shouldn't be eating them for food, and how when you take away their baby chicks, you're taking them away from their mother. And just imagine the pain. We feel like, oh, it's just a chicken. Chickens don't feel anything. They don't love their chicks. Like, how do we know that? Right? So that's basically what she was protesting. And I like to people watch. I like to see how people react. I'm always watching people and seeing how they look at me or my husband. And my husband has like a really big beard and a lot of hair. So a lot of the times he's always getting looked at like, who are you? Like, where do you come from? What country do you come from? Are you from Bangladesh? Are you from the Middle East? Are you Indian? Like, people literally ask him that. Is he Jewish? People think that he's Jewish. So a lot of the time, I'm always very self-aware of like people looking at my husband, like if they're going to judge him or something like that. And what I noticed from people in Washington, D.C. that were just kind of like walking just past the people who were protesting is that they either look at them like they're crazy. Like, why are you out here protesting? Like, you should not be using your voice. Like, go back inside your house because you look crazy. Or they just didn't make eye contact with them because they didn't want to associate themselves with the crazy people who have the courage to stand up for what they believe in my opinion. And it's exactly what Captain Blvd is saying here about the kids in school who are often bullied because they're the ones like, I know the answer, I know knowledge, I want to learn, I want to contribute something positive, right? It's insane to me how this book that he wrote in the 50s is so relevant today. It's almost like predicting the future. Like, how did he know the invention of television was going to lead to the invention of all these devices that we have now that are consuming our lives? I wanted to find out a little bit more in today's day and age as far as like, what are people reading, and are people actually reading in today's society? So I came across this really great article by Christopher Graham for the Washington Post titled "The Long, Steady Decline of Literary Reading." So people are reading less and less. Good works of art, novels, people are reading less. And he goes on to say, and you guys should definitely check out the article and I'll link it down below, but he goes on to say how reading good pieces of art, literary novels, poems, and things of that nature, plays, reading that type of material actually helps you empathize with either the writer of the novel or the piece of work or the characters inside the book. And it makes us more empathetic people, and that in turn affects how we treat other people and how we empathize with the real world. So if reading does in fact make you a more empathetic person, and yet we are reading less and less, even people who are attending universities, colleges, even people like that are in fact reading less and less each year. So it makes me wonder if this is where we're headed. People in here, people in this book, the families, the fictional characters in this story decided we don't want to be bothered, we don't want to be stimulated by reading books. No, we want to be stimulated by trash television. We want to be stimulated by things that don't make us think. We don't want to think. We want to be told what to think. And families in this novel have rooms that are like their television screen is literally like from the ground to the ceiling in all the four walls. And they spend a lot more time connecting with their television families than they do connecting in person. Even within my own family, before, I've caught myself and my whole family like in this sort of matrix world where we're not connecting with each other, but instead Isaac is playing his video games, Jesse's on his phone, and I'm in the kitchen on my iPad doing whatever, and we're all individually connected to different sources, but we're not connected with each other. And I think the important thing here is to recognize when it's a problem and say, okay, you know what, this is not healthy for a family. If it's too much, it's not healthy. You know, and it's not to say like you have to ban television, you have to ban all these different things because it's entertainment, but I think for me there needs to be a balance of how much we consume. The scary thing about here is that the story doesn't end well. It doesn't have like a positive note in my opinion because, you know, spoiler alert, there's an atomic bomb that gets dropped into the city. Everything is destroyed. People are killed. And that in fact is a plausible scenario today. So this just made me think a lot about like, okay, I need to make some changes in my life. What is something that I feel like is distracting me? What am I consuming too much of that is not healthy? So that was my little analysis just from that quote in itself, and you can see it's very long, so there's so many different little pieces in this book that you can grab something and just go deeper into it. If I have to say what really scared me in here was the mechanical hound. That creature in itself is so scary to me because just picture a mechanical hound and he has like fangs coming out that are needles and they inject anesthesia into your leg or into the prey. And they use this mechanical hound, they have many of them too. They use this mechanical hound to control their population, to control people. And this is a creature, a robot that was made that runs very, very fast, that has every scent you can possibly think programmed into his brain. And I'm like, oh my gosh, if that thing really existed, that would be so freaky. But anyways, from going with something really dark to Bless Me Última, something a little bit more, not necessarily like bright and happy, but just like mind elevation. The fact that we have this book club in today's day and age makes me so happy because we are fighting against Fahrenheit 451. We're not going to burn books. We love books. We're going to hopefully our libraries never shut down or the bookstores never shut down. So please support your local libraries, support your local bookstores, Barnes & Noble, spend your money there. I would be so sad if a day ever comes that books are no longer printed. So for the discussion, I would love to hear your feedback, whether you agree or disagree with what I just said, or if you had your own personal insightful moment in this novel or like an aha moment that made you see things differently. So your feedback is very valuable to this book club because this is how we're going to continue the discussion on the books that we're reading. And it's one of the main reasons why I created the Sweet Reads book club, because we can have discussions about the book. And I would love to hear your thoughts and feedback. And I also have to send a special thanks to Anali or Anali, not sure. I think it's Anali. I have to send a special thanks to Anali also, who works at a library, and she was assigned the job of processing books and getting rid of books. Ironically, they were going to get rid of this book. So she saw it and she's like, oh my gosh, they're going to get rid of all these books. And she sent me a message. She's like, hi, Dulce, I would love to send you all these books that I just found at the library. They were going to get rid of them. And I think it would be really great if you can use them as a giveaway for your viewers. So thank you so much for contributing. That was super sweet of you, and for mailing them out to me, because I know that takes a lot of time too, to like put them in a box and go to the post office and do all that stuff. And I know you have to pay for shipping and handling. So thank you so much. And what else do I, oh, and of course we are doing a giveaway of Bless Me Última. So I am going to give away 10 copies directly from Amazon. They're going to be shipped directly from Amazon. So I'm not going to be able to wrap them up or write a little note, only because it's more efficient that way. It costs a lot of money. So I think the fastest and more cost-effective way for me to get these books to you is going to be directly through Amazon. For the giveaway, all you have to do is click on the description box, and there's going to be a link to a Google document that I created, so you can enter your name and you can also enter your email address. That way I can email you directly, as opposed to trying to choose over 2,000 comments and randomly trying to find that name and then trying to go to the channel, and it's just, I can't even send you a message. So what I had to do was write your name in the description box when the contest ended, and then people didn't even go back and check to see if they won. So I had to wait more time, and some people didn't get their books till the end of the month. Just a final thing that I wanted to say to anybody else out there who maybe doesn't have the money to purchase the book right now, because I know a lot of you guys are in college and books are super expensive, and I don't want you guys to buy this book if you just can't right now. But if you want to read along, you can actually go to the library, get yourself a library card, and you can check out the book for free, or you can go online, because I know in the LA library website you can actually get instant access to downloads in your books and download electronic, what do they call it? Electronic media, right? And it just downloads directly onto your iPad, your computer, your phone, so you can get instant access to these books. So that's another option for you guys. If you don't want to buy the book, you can go to the library, check it out, or you can even search it online also. They have PDFs and you can read them for free, so you don't have to buy the book. But with that being said, I'm still going to gift out 10 copies. So please make sure you enter in the giveaway down in the info bar. And that's pretty much it. Thank you so much for joining me, and thank you for being excited. And I can't wait to read all of your comments. Have a blessed and beautiful day, and I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye.